Hey, I'm Nicole, and my rich boyfriend Marcus has 3 other girlfriends besides me. He doesn't address us by our names, but instead by the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, as if we were some kind of objects. Meanwhile, we have to fiercely compete for Marcus's attention. 2 months ago, things escalated when Scarlett, one of Marcus's other girlfriends, locked me into our sauna to make me die of hypothermia. She wanted me gone so she would have one less rival to share our boyfriend Marcus with. It was 194 degrees inside the sauna I was locked into, and I knew I wouldn't survive longer than an hour in it. But before we continue this story, let me first tell you how I met my rich boyfriend Marcus. I was 21 and living in a college dorm. I didn't get along with my dorm mates because, well, I was the only girl among them that was pretty. They were jealous of my good looks and often bullied me for it. Every weekend they got drunk, and one night while I was sleeping, one of the girls came home from a party, leaned over my bed, and puked all over me. "What are you doing?" "Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were home." "So that's why you thought it would be okay to puke on me in my bed?" "Yeah, I mean, nobody likes you, so why not?" Well, that same girl threw up all over me again the following weekend. Finally, I had enough. I took all her clothes, school notes, and even her wallet with her ID and credit card inside, put it in a trash bag, and then threw it in the dumpster outside our dorm. When she woke up the next morning, she asked me where all her stuff was. I told her she had gifted it to another student while she was drunk, and she really believed it and ran around campus for the next 3 days asking everyone if they had her stuff. Meanwhile, I spent a lot of time on Tinder. The reason I swiped right on Marcus was simple. He seemed well off, and he was living in a big townhouse right next to my college campus. We had our first date at a cafe, where he straight away told me, "Look, I'm not into serious relationships. I have a few other girls living with me right now. If you want, you can move in too, as my 4th girlfriend. In exchange for dating me, you'll receive a nice monthly allowance, of course, and live very luxuriously." Oh, I'm not a girl that you can simply buy. But just out of curiosity, how big is the allowance you give these girls? "At least 10 grand a month." What? 10 grand? Okay, listen, college is super expensive here in the US. I was already $20,000 in debt for my degree, and I was too lazy to get a side job. So after a few more dates with Marcus, I moved in with him and met his other girlfriends as well. They were all going to the same college as me, and it turned out that the only reason Marcus had moved into this townhouse next to our campus was to pick up college girls like us and to become their sugar daddy. I got along well with 2 of his other girlfriends, but then there was also Scarlett. When I told Scarlett I was getting a bachelor in education, she started laughing and said, "Oh God, teachers make no money. Why don't you become a garbage collector instead? At least you don't need a degree for that." Actually, teachers make an okay salary. And who are you to look down on other people's jobs anyway? Well, I have my own fashion brand, sweetie. Soon, I'll make millions. Oh God, what a joke. Marcus had given Scarlett $50,000 so she could design her own swimsuits and sell them on Instagram. But of course, no one actually wanted to buy them because they looked like garbage, and so Scarlett never turned any profit. Anyway, one day, Marcus gifted me a $5,000 necklace in front of the other girls. I really deserved it because while the other girls were super lazy, I always worked my butt off to please Marcus. Every day, I asked him if there was anything in the world I could do for him, and oftentimes he would come up with some ridiculous demands, like me spoon-feeding him and kissing each bite before placing it in his mouth. I think he simply enjoyed to see me act so submissive, and I played along to get more of his money. But when Scarlett saw the $5,000 necklace Marcus had gifted me, she got jealous and said, "How dare you gift her something and not me? Take it away from her again." "Relax, Scarlett. I can buy you a necklace too." "No, take it away from her right now or I will leave you." Well, Scarlett was Marcus's favorite girl because she was the prettiest of the 4 of us. That's why he took the necklace away from me again. But that was nothing compared to what Scarlett did next to mess with me. I had to write a thesis for my college. So for a whole week, I did nothing but write in front of my laptop. What was strange was that Scarlett kept asking me questions about it. "What's the thesis about?" "Oh, I'm writing about the optimal student-to-teacher ratio." "Why?" "Why not? Am I not allowed to ask questions?" Well, I finished my thesis at 10 p.m. the day before the deadline. Then I printed it out and laid it on my desk before going to bed. The next morning, I handed it to my professor. But 1 month later, my professor asked me to stay after class and told me that I had been found plagiarizing in my thesis. What? That's impossible. Actually, you copied 5 whole pages from the internet. I have never encountered a case as egregious as yours. Please believe me, I didn't plagiarize. Well, the deans and I have decided to suspend you for the rest of the year. You can retake your courses next year. I was flabbergasted and mad. I knew exactly who was behind this. Scarlett. I thought about taking revenge, maybe poisoning her or some other method of murder that wasn't retraceable to me. But of course, I didn't have the guts to do anything like that. A week later, Scarlett asked me, "Have you already gotten your thesis back? What grade you got?" I didn't want to let her know that I had been suspended because of her, so I lied and said, "I got 90 points out of 100. It was good." "Really? That's weird because I heard you got suspended because you plagiarized." "What? How do you know?" "Oh, I got my sources. Next time, you should try not to cheat." This little brat. Because of her, I had to repeat a whole year of college. I didn't know what to respond, so I just slapped her across the face. But here is some good life advice. Don't make enemies out of people who you know are crazy. Scarlett didn't hit back, but that same day, I went to Marcus's sauna to relax. I mean, I just got suspended from college, so why shouldn't I enjoy my time off? Well, suddenly someone stood in front of the sauna door. I couldn't see who it was because the glass was all fogged up, but then the person put a big iron rod through the door handle. I jumped up and tried to open the door somehow, but it was hopeless. The iron rod was too strong and the glass was too thick to break. There was no way to escape. By then, I'd already been inside the sauna for more than 15 minutes. And on top of that, the person who had locked the door also turned up the heat because it was getting even hotter. I was exhausted and had already given up trying to escape when I had an idea. With my last bit of strength, I put a towel around the heater and tried to rip it out. After a long minute of pulling and pushing, I somehow managed to get it loose and rip it out. Still, it took more than 2 hours for the sauna to cool down to a tolerable temperature. And I only survived that long because it was a steam sauna and I could drink the water from a puddle on the ground. Otherwise, I would have surely died of dehydration. The next morning, our maid took away the iron rod and found me half dead and extremely dehydrated lying on the floor. Looking back, I should have immediately called the police and told them what had happened. Maybe they would have found DNA evidence on the iron rod and Scarlett would have gone to jail. But I was stupid and went to Marcus instead to tell him what happened. He started laughing and said, "What? Scarlett locked you into the sauna? That's crazy." "Yes, it is crazy. And I want you to kick her out of the house immediately." "Well, but how do I know you aren't making this story up? Do you have any proof that she did it?" "Well, here's the thing. I think Marcus enjoyed seeing us 4 girls fight each other over him. One time, he was drunk and told us, 'I'll pay $1,000 to the girl who can insult the others the best.' Scarlett was the meanest of us 4 and easily won the contest. She told another girl, 'Remember when your dad died last year and you started crying? I'm sorry to tell you that you look super ugly when you cry.' You probably think I moved out of there after Scarlett tried to murder me, but I didn't. And here's why. At that point, I'd been living with Marcus for 18 months. And not only was I able to pay off my student loans because the monthly allowance he gave me, but I had also saved $100,000. I thought if he let me stay with him for another 2 years, I might be able to save an additional $250,000. I knew that once I became an elementary school teacher after college, I would never get the chance to save that much money again. So I couldn't bring myself to pass up on this opportunity and leave Marcus. Furthermore, thanks to Marcus's allowance, I was able to afford to hire a ghostwriter who right now is helping me write my master thesis for college. I basically don't have to do anything, which is another perk of being rich. Anyway, recently, something bad happened. An STD spread between Marcus and us girls. The only one who didn't get the STD was Scarlett. Marcus was furious and demanded to know who of us other 3 girls had gotten the STD by cheating on him. We all denied cheating, and my instincts was that this was somehow Scarlett's fault again. So I went through her laptop search history and found out she had Googled "what doctor for chlamydia" 3 weeks earlier. This meant that she had the STD first, and then had taken medication to get rid of it. Of course, only after infecting the rest of us. I showed Scarlett's search history to Marcus, and he finally decided to kick her out of the house. On a side note, most STDs aren't as bad as people make them out to be. Nowadays, most STDs can be easily treated and cured. Even HIV isn't a death sentence anymore if you have access to medication. Today, the average life expectancy for someone with HIV in the US is the same as for someone without HIV. Anyway, Scarlett is gone, which means I can finally feel safe again. In the meantime, I'm doing everything I can to please Marcus so he will keep me as his girlfriend. Let me know in the comments if you would be willing to date someone like Marcus or not. I'm curious to know.